All right, good morning, everybody. Let's go over a trade plan from last night. Do we need to update this? Let's see here. So we said holding above or below 92, which is still exactly where it is, funny enough. So if it does hold below that level, we are looking for 75, which is that value retrace of yesterday. And then 56, which begins testing the value of Friday. If it stays above 92, the next level is 13, and then 24. That's pretty old value going way back to mid-January. Yeah, about 13th to 15th of January. It still looks the same here. Keep an eye on that 92. If we do lose that, it will start a little bit of a value retrace downward, but so far it is holding it. We do have the FOMC on Wednesday, and the weekly open is pretty far away, so if it wants to act like a magnet, you do have a slight bearish bias going back down here. So same story on NASDAQ. The level is 927. It's actually hitting our first target already, so we're going to go ahead and delete that. And we will have to raise that target. But the trade plan is still the same, so 26.70 and then 26.155. And then below 927, we're going to go down to 827 and 779, which will finish that retrace of yesterday. But yeah, same thing. Still holding that P-shaped profile, but if that weekly open acts like a magnet, then it will pull it down a little bit. So far, not seeing that. Not really seeing a strong sell pressure. That magnet would also line up with the overnight fade as well, possibly pulling it back down. On the calendar for today at 10 o'clock, we have consumer confidence and Richmond Manufacturing Index. Trump is speaking at market close at 4 p.m., and that is pretty much it. So calendar is pretty lackluster today. We had a little bit of data come out pre-market. It was slightly above expectations, nothing crazy. Keep an eye on VWAP here, trying to lose that VWAP right out of the gate here. There's not really a lot of support here until we get down to the 70s, so you could fall pretty quickly if they do not respect that value. A lot of bullish delta coming in, trying to protect VWAP. It's one of those days where you're kind of sitting on a cliff here with that OTS trail, that 30-minute trail. Been doing a fantastic job the last couple of days holding us up, and we're sitting right on that level on the open here, and momentum is starting to fall pretty rapidly. So if we don't see a lot of buy pressure back above this 94, you're possibly going to start stair-stepping downward. Yeah, same thing with the 1 hour trail as well. Bear div on momentum. Good morning, we're going to Tachi, Future, Marcel, Jose. Here's the trade plan for everybody. Let me pin that for you guys. There you go. Good morning, XP, Brian, Sam, Pod, Lubomir, Igor, AT, Larry. Good morning, Suzanne, Music, Michael, JC, Mr. B, Peter. Good morning, Nitro. Julio, Adam, Ronaldo, Sam, Riso, Greg, Ram. Good morning, Scott, Ike, Darius, Leo, Maverick. Good morning, Valor. Roman, Marcel, Viviano. Good morning, Ollie, Lucio, Chuck, eBay. Appreciate you guys all being here. VWAP being held for now on NASDAQ, but not on ES. ES still trading below VWAP. eBay, Timothy, Fernando, Boat. Good morning, everybody. So far, very weak candles, but they are protecting the 30-minute highs on every candle since the overnight high, I believe. Or no, that's not the overnight high, but the lower high. So since 6:30 in the morning. A very slow open, only seeing 3 TPOs. The large tape, the large traders are completely asleep right now. There is a little bit of data at 10 o'clock. They're possibly waiting for that. Or it could be like this all day. They could be waiting for the FOMC tomorrow. Yeah, they're all trading metals. Yeah, you're not wrong. You want a Trevor trades Fables? Yeah, I think I saw silver was like still going up. It's kind of crazy. It's immune to the margin increases. Typically when that happens, that kills the uptrend. I was down a little bit today, down 6%. Still holding that trend though. The weekly trail flipped green on March 2024, has not gone back since. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, had about 7 buy signals in 24 to 25. You are very far from the trail now. Trail is 67, failing VWAP, by the way, on ES and NASDAQ. Still very small candles. Not really seeing an impulse candle just yet. Just kind of wider dojis. Big difference in Delta here. Delta's pretty bullish on ES, but it's being absorbed. And then it's very bearish on NASDAQ. Large tape is still sleeping. You want to Marco Ryan? Starting to lose VWAP here. You could argue it's a bear flag into VWAP, but it's a very small one. It'd be more like a pullback into VWAP. Or it kind of sold VWAP, pulled back into it, and now we're selling off of it. When you have a small pullback like this, the big difference between the bear flag and the VWAP trade is when it's really far below VWAP, and then you have the bear flag back into it, it makes it so that prior low is a good target because it's so far away. But if it's like this, where it's so close to VWAP and you're just pulling back into it, instead of targeting the prior low, you kind of have to target a lower low because it's not really offering you enough to target the prior low. So that's the big difference. The entry and stop idea is still the same, but the target, you have to go for a new low. It's just not giving you enough on that prior low. I think it's literally a couple of points. Yeah, it's only giving you 3 points here. So you would have to go for a lower low, which it is giving you a lower low, so you would have to trail this now. Well, there's not much to go over, Chuck. It just looks like a P, right? I mean, the letter P, you have a long lower tail and a wide base on the top. And that's the same thing here. It has a long lower tail and a wide value base on the top. A lot of buy pressure coming out of nowhere here. Not really seeing it on the tape. It's kind of like the sellers are letting it go up. Yeah, that chart is always showing the full session on a 30-minute time frame. I never change it. The sellers are kind of letting this happen here. You're not seeing a ton of volume coming in. The sellers are kind of allowing this to go up. Retesting VWAP again. Good morning, June. Still seeing very weak candles. Pretty much every single candle is a doji, except for that strong candle that we had at 7 a.m. Big traders are still asleep here. How do the sectors look? Because ES and NASDAQ are not really following each other today. Micron's still going up. Yeah, a lot of mix here. Not a very clean sector chart. Yeah, Sam, you got to play with that a little bit. There's a lot of settings you can mess with to try to make the numbers larger and whatnot. That's why I usually have this screen here where I can zoom in to a couple of candles and see the footprint numbers. But for these charts, you can make it so when you zoom in really far, it will transform into a footprint chart, which is pretty cool. You can turn that off as well if you don't like it. Like if I want to zoom in and look at the footprint, I can do that. Want to vanquish? Yeah, you just have different settings. There's a lot of different things you can do with the footprint. The footprint's probably the most customizable out of all the charts that I have. There's no right or wrong way to really do it. Large tape is still asleep here. Possibly waiting on that 10 o'clock data. Volume falling off pretty rapidly above 94 here, which has been happening pretty much every candle. Not finding too much up here. Seems like people are waiting on the FOMC for tomorrow. Good morning, Tamer. Do I take into account the gaps? So I do if they are on ES. If they can be seen on ES on the futures chart, then they are typically very strong gaps. But I don't take into account gaps on the ETFs, like the stocks, because they happen pretty much every single day. But the gaps that can be seen on ES, the basically the 24/7 chart, because it's damn near 24/7. Those ones are a lot stronger typically. Okay, same thing we saw earlier where it's going up, but the volume is not very strong. It's not like building any nodes or anything. So the sellers are kind of just letting it go up here. Those were your first big buys you've seen. 98 and 7,000. Yeah, if it's formed on the ES chart. So like we had a gap on Friday. Like if you can see a gap like this on the futures chart, that's a big deal. And that's why it got filled in immediately. But as far as like the gaps on the SPY and Qs, those happen damn near every single day. Because as long as it moves on the pre-market, you're going to get a gap. So not really a big deal when you see them every single day. The weekly open is 904. We're pretty far away. We are now 100 points away, which is a little bit worrying. Now, this is an FOMC that does not have a rate change, so it's not as strong. Like the ones with a rate change, you really want to hang out around that weekly open to see how the market reacts to the rate change. But this one should not have a rate change, so we don't need to hang around it so much. The sellers are just letting it go up here. There is just no selling like whatsoever. I'm not sure where this momentum is coming from. We don't really have a headline coming out. Looks like Microsoft, Apple. Apple's having a really good open. That's about it. Facebook's bouncing a little bit. Nothing too crazy. I don't see any major headlines causing this either. Yeah, the dollar's down a little bit, but the correlation is very weak. And funny enough, the correlation is actually slightly positive, meaning they should be going in the same direction. What was the previous all-time high? I'm not sure exactly, but I'm pretty sure we're pretty much hitting it. Very, very close. I think it was in the 30s. It was like 35 or something like that. Yeah, but this is not a B shape that you would consider a lowercase b. This is forming the tail second, not first. When this happens, this is a D-shaped breakout. It's not a lowercase b. A lowercase b has to form the tail, which has the impulse. You impulse down. Then you form the D-shaped balance, which creates that node, that lower b. Then you have the bearish bias trying to protect that lower node to keep going lower. Think about a bear flag. You can't have a bear flag if the flag part was made before the flagpole. So this is more of a balance breakout. And that's one of the reasons why you want to have a candlestick chart, not just like a blind, not just a blind volume profile chart, because you want to see how it developed. You formed the tail, then the breakout. So this is following the P-shaped profile of the pre-market, which we talked about was a bullish bias, which, by the way, you are hitting our targets here. 13 coming up pretty quickly, and then 70, which is basically the top there. Need a few more points on NASDAQ. But yeah, same thing with a capital P. You have to form the tail before you form the node. If it does it in the opposite way, where it goes from node to tail, then it's just a D shape breaking out bearishly. Typically, market profile helps with this, but it doesn't help in this scenario because it's doing it in the same session. If it was doing it in a different session, we could see, okay, A was down here, now B is up here, but we can't see that right now. The only thing we can see right now is the open is down here, and now we're up here. So we could infer that the node was built first. Yeah, the order matters. It's a little bit rare. Like, it's when you see a P shape, most of the time it's going to be a normal P shape where the tail was made, then the node was made. But you just have to be careful and see if it was a D-shaped breakout instead. It does matter because it changes your bias. Like right now, it's a very clear bullish bias. But if this was a regular lowercase b, it would be a bearish bias. Yeah, we talked about this like last year, year before, whenever it was happening. But the Japanese government is finally shifting their political and economic views, and that is causing a bit of a change in how they play around with their interest rates and their bonds, which is obviously tied directly to the U.S. Market as well, with like the carry trade. The carry trade supposedly is not nearly as strong. 10 o'clock data coming out here. Not nearly as strong as it used to be, so people aren't too worried about it. Microsoft earnings tomorrow, gotcha. Consumer confidence 84.5 over 90.6, lower than expectations. Manufacturing index still pending. Manufacturing index of -6 over -5, lower than expected. Upper nodes still being protected. A lot of sellers coming in on that 04 to 05, but it's not really going anywhere. Oh, that's just the midpoint. It's just showing you where the middle is. It says highest because I'm using the highest indicator, but it's just the middle of the candle. The open squares? I don't know what you're talking about. On this chart? On the 30-minute? The only yellow I have are the candles and the midpoint. The candles are colored based on the breaks. Are they breaking the lows? Are they breaking the highs? Delta is still very weak on NQ. This entire bounce up, not really showing any bullish delta up here. Yeah, a couple of really big earnings this week, actually. We have Facebook, Microsoft, Tesla. I think on Wednesday, and then on Thursday we have Apple. Okay, here's the problem with what I just said about the Delta. The Delta was very weak on the push up. Keep an eye on that 24 EMA. Keep an eye on VWAP. Testing VWAP on ES. Now turning into a capital B, fighting over both of these nodes here. Yeah, Microsoft says Wednesday. Apple is Thursday. Facebook Wednesday. Tesla Wednesday. And then Google and Amazon, I think, are the week after. Are you talking about these? These are not yellow. These are green and red. If you're talking about these, those are just clusters, delta clusters. Yeah, those are green. They might kind of look yellow on stream for some reason, but they're definitely green. The green are obviously bullish clusters, the red are bearish clusters. Look at the large sellers here. Sellers were sleeping until that 10 o'clock data. Now the sellers are coming in. 04 to 7,000, selling pretty hard. Bouncing off VWAP, damn near to the tick there. That's on the daily VWAP. So a bit stronger of a bounce because typically the session VWAP is going to be tested. We'll see if it puts in a lower high on this bounce here. Or if it can even reclaim this 05 node. Very strong node. Possibly the POC if it retested. The only moving averages I use are the 8 and 24. Be careful here, it's putting in a lower high on the 1 minute, protecting this node, which is very close to shifting the POC. If they stay below this node, it's going to go back to that prior node. This is the problem with capital Bs. You have two strong nodes that are both acting like magnets. Normally, whoever controls the middle, which is typically where VWAP is, has the bias. So right now, they're protecting VWAP bullishly, so they are slightly bullish bias. But we have to hold above this node here. If they can't reclaim this node, it goes right back to what it was doing earlier. Seems like the large traders were waiting on that 10 o'clock data because they're much more active now. Still just rotating this node. It's slightly bearish because they're not allowing it to stay above that 05, kind of 06, like where the value high would be. Still holding on to the EMAs. You're kind of in a vertical distribution on NASDAQ because the delta is telling you that it should be going down, but it's not. It keeps holding on to the EMAs. There's the POC shift. So now if they can fail to rotate back down by holding it above this node, they're going to extend that upper tail, and that goes right into our targets. So far, they're still just rotating this POC. And you can see, funny enough, where it's stalling out. We marked out 2 point of origin levels here. One was just before the open. And then one was the overnight high, I believe it was. And we're kind of bouncing between those two levels. So we're using the kind of 6:30 high and the 1 a.m. high. They're acting like little demand zones. You have seller demand on the high and then buyer demand on the low. Keep an eye on that delta on NASDAQ because you've been pretty bearish the entire day. So if it just randomly flips to being bullish and having a lot of buyer delta come in, they're probably going to try to push that high. You want a rider? And you're seeing the impact of the FOMC week. Typically, Monday and Tuesday are just very slow. They're not untradeable, but if you are used to like high volatility, high speed, they definitely can be very boring. Starting to roll over a little bit here. Not a rollover top, but you're definitely putting in a lower high and pushing back down. Keep an eye on VWAP here. Starting to fail to rotate. They were rotating around this node for quite some time here. And now they're not allowing it to rotate back up. And you can see those rotations on like a 5-minute or a 1-minute chart. You can see it's just going back and forth between that little range. And now this candle's trying to break that. We'll see if it can actually stay below 703, 704. Yeah, that little movement that you're seeing there in the last like 30 minutes. People always ask me like, how do you determine when a level is being respected or if it's confirming the level or breaking away from the level, that sort of thing. And that little movement that you just saw in the last 30 minutes, that's pretty much it. It does that on every single level. Where it's kind of playing around the level, it's rotating, allowing it to go up a little bit, comes back down, goes down a little bit, just rinse and repeat until it finally stops doing that. it stops allowing one side to get what they want. Now, sometimes that happens in 2 minutes, sometimes it happens in 30 seconds, 5 minutes, whatever, right? But the movement is the same. It's just how long is that rotation going to last? Because all rotation is, it's just like the market is accepting that level. They like that level. Until they don't, right? Until the rotation stops. The same thing you see on a daily scale when you look at the D-shaped profiles and you're just rotating over and over and over again for basically the entire day. And then one side stops letting it rotate and it goes that direction, right? They stop letting it go down, it goes up. So get used to seeing that movement. And that's that thing that I always talk about that I can't really teach you. I can't teach that like intuition or like reading the tape and seeing the speed change and all that stuff. You really just have to get used to what it looks like. What does it look like on a slow day? What does it look like on a fast day? What does it look like when there's no liquidity? How about really high liquidity? It's all the same movement with just little variations. Like what just happened as I was explaining that is another thing you have to look for is when you have these rotations. Let me do it this way, it might be easier to see. So like if this is price, and we're just rotating up, rotating down, and then it does something like this where it kind of like stalls, and it doesn't go back up, and then it starts going down. You look for that rebound. We used to talk about this a lot about like, what, 2-3 years ago, when we took these rebound trades very actively, where you have that break of rotation, and then you rebound, you have that first pullback back into it, and then you show the bias. So it should have been 50-50, where it's just going like this. But if it goes down, then it rebounds and hits it, and then instantly comes back down, there's obviously a bias there. And that's what just happened when I was explaining that. And you can see it if you don't like the footprint chart or the volume profile chart, and it's too confusing and you can't see it on that chart, you can see the exact same thing on a 1-minute chart. So you can see how this node was building up on this 1 minute here. They defined the high here. They defined the high. They defined the low. And then they just kept rotating until it stopped rotating, right? It went down here. It rebound, sold. Rebound, sold. Now you can get extremely mentally exhausted if you're trying to like micro scalp those movements. If you're trying to trade like every single rebound, every single rotation. Or you can kind of do what I do, where you just look for the bigger trades and you wait for one big trade to play out. Still protecting the middle. So you still have a slight bullish bias. I just got an email. Apex is doing another 90% off sale. What else here? Let me see. Special pricing on the 150s, 200, 250s. 300Ks are marked down as well. And resets are cheaper. 90% off sale starts now, goes until February 4th, which is next Wednesday. So you have about a week. I'll pull this up at the end of the stream, but just a reminder, if you guys are participating in this 90% off sale, we are going back to our old raffle style. So if you do use the code for the new discount, every 50K account is 1 ticket. So if it's a 100K account, it's 2 tickets, 150s, 3 tickets, so on and so forth. We're going to pull prizes for cash prizes through PayPal and Discord access 1 month and 3 month. We did these pretty much every single month last year, except for the end of the year when we did a laptop giveaway, which we might do something this year as well. We might do a big giveaway at the end of the year again. But for now, we're going to do our standard raffles we always do. And if you guys need my email, here is my email to send those tickets to. Just a way for me to give back to you guys for supporting the channel using the code. I appreciate all the support. You guys are awesome. And as always, if you guys have not gotten access to the indicators with Apex, we do a little deal where if you use the code, you get 60 days access for the Momo, the OTS, the bots. So in that same email that you're sending me your raffle tickets, if you do not have access for that trial, just let me know what your TradingView username is, and I'll get you guys added to the indicators. And I hope those indicators help you guys get funded. Which VWAP is better for day trading? They're exactly the same for the most part. One is not inherently better than the other, but if you want more data, if you want a longer running average, the session VWAP is technically stronger. But then you see times like today where it's not touching the session VWAP, it's only touching the daily VWAP. So you really have to respect both of them the same way. The biggest difference is when the day first opens, you don't have that daily VWAP. It's very weak. So I would say for like the first 30 minutes, you really want to pay attention to the session VWAP and not the daily VWAP. But after the first like 20, 30 minutes, you can start watching both of them. But yeah, the daily VWAP is brand new at the start of the day. So you have to be careful with that. Speaking of VWAP, another VWAP bounce here off the daily VWAP to the literal tick yet again. So we're seeing that capital B mentality where both nodes are acting like magnets, but who protects the middle of the day? Who is protecting the LVN zone? We talk about this in a lot of depth in my volume profile video in the new series, the Apex series. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, watch that video. But whoever protects the middle of the day has the bias. Typically, the middle of the day is also where VWAP is. So here you go. You have that VWAP bounce. Yeah, Chris, just send over the receipts that have like the invoice number and the account size, and I'll take a look at them. And I normally say have the receipts sent to me by Friday, but the month closes on Saturday. So as long as you guys send them by like Sunday morning, I'll do the raffle on Sunday, probably afternoon, Sunday night. So as long as you guys have them sent by the end of the month, You guys are good to go. Okay, so we had a failure to rotate. That whole thing we just talked about. You lost that node, which gave you a pretty decent push down, almost 10 points. But then you bounced off VWAP. So then you have to reassess what's going on. So once you bounced off VWAP, the obvious place is going back to that node. So when you go back to that node, is it going to instantly rebound and fail? It did not. Is it going to rotate? It did not. Is it going to extend the upper tail? That's what we're doing now. So if they do not continue to rotate this node here, it's trying to extend that upper tail. Basically going back into a trend. So anytime it comes back down, it needs to be quickly bought back up if they want to continue to be bullish here. The white candle, I shouldn't have any white candles on the indicators. Which one are you referring to? No, so the Momo has the shading. It has the purple and gold shading on the bottom. Then the OTS colors your candles either green, red, or gray. Green is obviously for like an uptrend, red for downtrend, gray for neutral. Then it has the blue pivots and the orange pivots. And then the bots color your candles green or red. Now, you shouldn't have the bots and the OTS, or this goes for any indicator on TradingView. You shouldn't have multiple indicators that try to override your candles. They try to color your candles. You should not have them on the same chart because it bugs out TradingView. So that might be what's happening. But yeah, if you ever have multiple indicators that try to color your candles, they fight each other. And it messes TradingView up. So just put them on different charts. So like what I do, I have the bots on their own chart, and then I have the other indicators on their own chart. If you try to put the bots and the OTS together, it just breaks TradingView. And that goes for even if you turn off the candle coloring on one of the indicators, it doesn't matter because they're still trying to do it in the background. And that's been an issue on TradingView like as long as I can remember, for years. And they still haven't fixed it. The Momo and the OTS, or the Momo and the bots, they can go together. But the OTS and bots can't go together because they're both coloring the candles. Yeah, you look for tail extensions when one side does not have a tail. So like today, we do not have a tail on the top, but we have a tail on the bottom. So technically, there could be a tail extension to the upside. You should have tails that are about the same size on both sides of the value area. If you don't, there could be an extension. So today has no upper tail, And if we look at the full session, we're just now starting to extend that upper tail because we have a long lower tail. Same thing with yesterday, very long lower tail. That's actually really funny. That doesn't normally happen. This is so low volume, it's not even considering it on the full session there. Oh, it is. I just have to zoom in even more. That's funny. I have to zoom in really far to see that volume because it's so small. It must have ticked it like one single time. A lot of bullish delta coming in here. Still not seeing it too much on NQ. We're only halfway through this candle, but keep an eye on the close. Possible single prints going down to 09. This is that upper tail extension we were talking about. Here's our 13 target, possibly going into the 24 target as well. Now this is getting to the point where it's a little bit worrying because we are so far away from that weekly open leading into the FOMC. Now, like I was saying, the FOMC this week has no rate change, so typically the rate change ones have a stronger magnet effect. But we've seen the ones that don't have rate changes also have some really strong pullbacks. Do we have any single prints from the all-time high up here? Let's see. No, we do not. This whole cluster right here has no single prints. And then we actually don't have any downside either. We had some here. They got filled in. Yeah, pretty clean. Get a strong impulse, opened up down here, closed up here. Couple of micro pullback days back to back. Broke the micro pullback, built higher value. And now we're pushing off that value. So honestly, pretty consistent on the daily. Looks pretty solid. One thing that's worrying, obviously we talked about the weekly open, but the other thing that's worrying is this tail is extremely weak because of that gap down. So we didn't really test this value whatsoever. So if there is some kind of bearish catalyst that sends you back down, you could retrace that very easily. Besides that, everything else looks pretty good. Same thing on NASDAQ, very weak lower tail. Everything else looks good. Next target on NASDAQ is 155. That lines up with our trade plan. First target was 70. That got taken out. 10 minutes until that candle closes. Keep an eye on that. What was it? 07, 09? 09. Looks like you are pulling back a little bit, trying to stay around that single print level. They're building a decent node up here, definitely not POC worthy just yet. Buyers kind of being absorbed on that high. All right, these levels kind of did their job. Let's go ahead and delete those. Okay, couple minutes left. It looks like we might have one or two single prints, nothing crazy. Created a couple single prints going down to 09. There is a node protecting the single prints at 12. So as long as they hold that node, you're not going to fill those in. Yeah, I use 2 points, so 8 ticks. So every box is 2 points. That's a big personal preference. Probably like nobody else does that. Most people just use it, just leave it on auto. They don't mess with it. I personally like my market profile to be the same every single day. So I keep it on 2 points. I like it to be consolidated, not like extremely wide. But yeah, like I said, that's not like I didn't learn that from somebody. That's not like a textbook thing. It's just a setting I played with and I liked it. So I just kept it the way it was. All right, so both trade plans have hit our first target. Second target on ES is 24. Second target on NASDAQ is 155. Basically, both of them, if they extend the tail one more time, they will hit the new targets. You can see that node is protecting those single prints. It keeps coming down to try to test it, and it bounces off that 12 node. Liquidity is very good today, by the way. Much higher than we were seeing last couple of weeks. Trading around like 70 to 90 contracts per tick, which is partly why we're so slow today. Was there a bull div on the Momo at 10:07? Let me see, 10:07. You mean back when it tested VWAP? Let me see. Not a bull div, but there is a trap there. So it's showing a trap on the Momo where it's like quickly doing that cupping pattern, and it's going back above the trail. So in the same, it has the same idea, same bias. We actually just got another trap. I'll show you guys on screen here. So there's another trap right here where it pulls back to the trail, and then it has that kind of cupping pattern, goes right back up. So that was a little trap. The bears were getting trapped. And then back where was the other one? Right here. Same thing. You broke the trail in this one, but same cupping pattern. And then this one had the bottom shading. So it had the purple shading on that one. But the one that just happened at 57, that one is like a prime example of a trap. That's like almost exactly what I showed in the video. Going back to the 30-minute, we talked about how it was sitting on a cliff on the open, turned into a sweep, pivot. Now we're pushing off that trail, so the cliff is being protected. Yeah, I'm probably not going to make a series on that, Joe. It's just so, it's so niche. That would only help like 1% of my audience, maybe 5% if I'm being generous. And I'm not a professional trader. I don't have any professional experience. I don't have any experience working for firms or funds or anything. I am purely retail. So I don't like to make videos that basically seem like I'm trying to act like I have some kind of information or knowledge that I don't. I'm just a retail guy that's been doing it for a long time. Yeah, I just try to stick to the same type of content. The logical side of trading, like the setups, the patterns to look for, stuff like that. The closest I've got to kind of what you were referring to are like the sizing guides. I have the Apex 50K, the 250K sizing guides. Still protecting the EMAs here. Look for that second target. Basically, any extension up here will hit that second target. Could shift the POC up again if it does hold on to this 14 to 15 node. No, I don't care too much about initial balance anymore. I used to look at it more when I was trading mostly in the afternoon, but not much anymore. You can look at it for extensions, like we have an extension at 27, we have an extension at 46. It helps with like afternoon targets sometimes. Okay, here comes our second stage of targets. Still holding on to that 24 EMA. If it starts losing that, watch that single print zone. Possible roll over into that single print zone. Kind of in a vertical distribution here. Still protecting those 5-minute lows and 24. You are starting to roll over in momentum for sure on NASDAQ. Might pull you down a little bit. But alright guys, we are coming to the end of the stream here, so we will start our giveaway if we can get to 100. What are we at right now? Now we're basically there, we're at 97. So I can go ahead and fire that up. If you guys want to like the video anyway, that would help. Give me a second here. Okay, same as always, if you guys want to get entered in the giveaway, just pick a number between 1 and 50. Just pick one number. If you guys have a tie, I will do a tiebreaker. This is going to be for a free Apex account for 30 days. I'm going to give you a promo code that you can go sign up for an account. Just put the promo code in, and it will give you a free account for 30 days. Speaking of Apex, they did just announce a 90% off sale, which is typically their highest sale. So if you guys have been waiting on getting accounts, now is the best time to do so. They have cheaper resets, and the higher tier accounts are also cheaper than they normally are as well. And this goes until next Wednesday, the 4th. You can use code BREW, which I'll quickly show the raffle thing while you guys are picking your numbers. If you guys used our code at any time in January, be sure to send me those emails. I once again forgot to put my email on here. I'll post my email once the giveaway's over. But it's admin@oasistrading.io. Just go ahead and send all your receipts that you use code BREW for in January. And we're going to do cash prizes and Discord prizes. I typically pull a couple of winners. Cash prizes are going to be done through PayPal, and then Discord obviously is Discord. Make sure you send those before the end of the month. So that is basically Saturday. So to send them by Saturday, I will be pulling those on Sunday. So just be on the lookout for my emails on Sunday. If you guys are the winner, I will send you an email. I'll give you guys another minute or so, then we'll pull it. I'll just type my email in chat real quick if you guys need it. Try to put all your receipts in one email if possible. If you spam the email, it makes it a lot harder to keep track of. If you have to do like 2 emails, it's okay. But don't send me like 10, 20 emails. Don't send me 1 email per account. It makes it very hard to keep track of. Yeah, we do have a lower high here, still protecting the 5-minute lows and this upper node. You need to push through this 14 node, then it should quickly fill in those single prints. All right, guys, I'll give you about 10 more seconds. Get your numbers in. If you haven't picked a number 1 through 50, just pick one number. All right, Fire, I'm just going to ban you. I've already said multiple times that don't pick multiple numbers. I'll put you in timeout for 30 minutes. Guys, it's very simple. I don't know how much more simple I could make it. It is very, very simple. All right, I need to refresh my chat. It's actually being really slow. Give me 1 second. Okay, the last number I see is Dairy. So first roll, Dairy Miller will be the last number. It is 46. If I miss your number, just let me know you won. I can check your chat history. So if you picked 46, let me know. I see every number but 46. Okay, I'm going to roll again. I'll give you like 5 more seconds. Did you put 46? I don't see one. If you did, just let me know. All right, rolling again. It is 3. Let me know if you picked 3. Okay, I do see 1. Is there multiple? I see you, Soul. You still here, Soul? Okay, I see you, Soul. Did anybody else have 3? I'll give you like 10 more seconds. Let me know. I'll check your chat history. But yeah, guys, going back to that, this is that time of year where you want to be a little careful in chat. I usually am very low on patience around tax season. I probably ban more people in tax season than the rest of the year combined. So I'm just warning you for the next couple of months. My patience is going to be a little bit lower than it normally is. And that's just me being brutally honest. All right, Soul, I think you are it. I don't think there's a tiebreaker. I think you just win. I'll give you guys like one more chance. Did you put 3? I don't see anybody. You got 5 seconds to let me know, or Soul is the sole winner. Lower high still coming in. All right, Sam, you might be joking, but I'm also going to put you in timeout for 24 hours. Guys, the other thing I said about the giveaway is if I pull a number and then you type the number afterwards, I know you're probably just trying to be funny, but it just makes the process so much harder. So I'm just going to ban you guys. Don't make this giveaway stuff a headache, because once it becomes a headache, I'm just going to stop giving away stuff. All right, Soul, you are the winner. Let me give you my email. There you go. That should be it. Giveaway period daisyroadtrading@gmail.com. There it is. Just send me an email, Soul. Let me know that you won the giveaway, what your YouTube name is, and I'm going to give you a random number to type that in chat so I can confirm it's you. And then after that, I will send you the promo code. If you guys are heading out, I appreciate you being here. I will be streaming tomorrow, same time as always. I will be in Discord streaming the rest of the day. If you guys are there, I'll see you there. One last reminder, I'm going to be reminding you guys every day this week, because you have to send me your receipts by Saturday. We're doing another raffle giveaway. Just make sure to have all your receipts. If you use code BREW in January, just send them all over to the admin email, not the giveaway email. The admin at oasistrading.io. Just send them over there. I'll get you guys added to the raffle. And I'll pull that on Sunday. So just be sure to send them over before Sunday. Let me check if you emailed me, Soul. I got you, Soul. I'm going to send you a random number. Just type that number in chat. I need to restart my PC. It's just acting real slow today. Still protecting our 5-minute lows, still protecting our 30-minute lows, still protecting the highest node of the day. So buyers are clearly in control. So all 3 of those things I just mentioned, just watch those to start failing one by one. And then the sellers will take over if that happens at all today. So 5-minute lows, 30-minute lows, and these upper nodes. The upper nodes are still being protected here. That second target, which finishes our trade plan, coming up at 24. And the next one on NASDAQ is 155. NASDAQ's pretty weak here, lower highs. Gotcha, Soul. I see you. All right, Soul. So be on the lookout. I will be sending you a promo code. Just go sign up for an Apex account like you normally would. Put that code in. It will give you a free account for 30 days. And then after that, it's going to start charging you. So go back to the brew code. But all right, guys, that's all I got. I'll see you in Discord. If you're not in Discord, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace, everybody.